Are you thinking about adopting a dog, an adult dog, and you already have at least one dog in your home? How are you going to teach the dogs to like each other? In this video, you're going to see over a 7-week period how Jackie and Lauren introduced their new dog, Theo, to the 4 dogs they already have in their home. In the first 4 clips, you're going to see the initial introduction of Theo to their 4 dogs. The first clip shows Boomer and Theo. The important part about this clip is the dogs are walking parallel to one another. There are people in between the dogs. The dogs are not walking side by side. This gives both dogs an opportunity to get to know each other without feeling stressed. The dogs walk parallel and they go for a walk. It can be walking 2 or 3 blocks going the same direction. Then you turn around and walk back the other way. Each time you change direction, you walk a little closer. By the time this clip is taken, the dogs have walked a number of blocks, turned and walked back, and now they're actually walking relatively close to one another, but you'll see that the people are still in between them. This is for safety, to make sure that both dogs feel comfortable with each other. The next clip shows Meeko and Theo. You'll see the people are still in between, but they're letting them get closer and closer to one another. Now bear in mind, these were not the first walks. This was after a few days of walking the dogs together, so that they would be able to walk side by side with just the person in between. Many of these dogs growled at each other when Theo was first introduced. So this is a process, and it's not a quick fix. The patience and hard work that Jackie and Lauren put in, you will see at the end of this video when you see 5 happy dogs sitting together. The next clip shows Nala and Theo. They're getting closer. Nala's basically saying, if I ignore him, maybe he'll go away. But you notice they're not letting Theo be rude to Nala. They're having him walk parallel to her, side by side, but not allowing him to jump on her. The 4th clip is with Penny and Theo. Shows a very relaxed dog sniffing the ground, walking. They're actually sniffing near the same spot. But Jackie and Lauren still are not letting Theo be too much in Penny's space. If you've been told just put the dogs together and let them work it out, well, I hope you don't. Because so many times it doesn't work out the way you want it to. And when you start with a bad introduction, you're setting a foundation, and it may lead to more problems. In this video, you'll see every step along the way and all the steps that Lauren and Jackie took to ensure that their dogs have a good relationship with each other. It's essential that you find a neutral territory to introduce the dogs. Your dog may guard its own property. Find a place where you can walk in a straight line, either a street or a field, at least 10 to 15 feet apart, and with enough room that you can walk, and each time you change direction, you will be able to get closer and closer to each other. It's so important when you are introducing new dogs that they have had lots of exercise. They're more relaxed. After they finished their walk with Theo, every one of the dogs was given lots of exercise to run in the backyard. And finally, Theo was brought out by himself, and they tossed the ball and played with him to help him to be more tired and to be more relaxed. Because many of the dogs had already growled at each other, they chose to set up a separate fence where Theo could be on one side and we could introduce one dog at a time to Theo through the fence. Here you see Meeko and Theo play bowing, having fun, running back and forth. Things are going well as they are both getting exercise. We did choose, and here is a picture, to put up many barriers and toys and blocks so that it wasn't a straight run down the fence and back. We didn't want to encourage any fence fighting. So with the addition of the toys, it meant that they could play and bounce around, but they couldn't do a straight run. The next step was to introduce Theo and Meeko to each other, both on leash, the leashes being held by someone, and that introduction went well. There were some nose sniffs and butt sniffs and everything went good. So the next step is to drop the leashes, but leave them on and let the dogs get to know one another. You can see them playing here, a little tentative, but starting to realize that it's kind of a fun buddy to play with. The final step with Meeko and Theo was to take the leashes off and let them run and play and have a good time. Then we also moved inside because there has to be an inside introduction as well. And you'll see Meeko sitting in front of Theo's crate with no reaction from Meeko or Theo. Bear in mind, this did not happen overnight. This was probably 2 weeks into the time arrived. Penny, a female, was the next one they introduced individually to Theo. She plays hard outside, which is why she's wearing a leash while they're playing outside in the beginning. And here is her playing inside with Theo. Theo's trying to jump on her, trying to be a little bit of a jerk, and Penny is very nicely teaching him proper manners. In case you think that all 4 dogs were just as easy to work with Theo as Penny and Meeko, I'm going to show you a picture of Theo growling through the fence and Boomer growling through the fence, both inside and outside. So these 2 dogs could not be loose playing together for quite some time. And here is how they accomplished getting Boomer and Theo to like each other. In this clip, you see Boomer staring directly at Theo. He is growling, Theo is growling. So what you do is you get Boomer to turn around, look at you, don't make direct eye contact, and you put a greater distance between Theo and Boomer. If you have to, you put up a barrier. We found that Theo's crate on that end was just too close to Boomer, so we moved it to the other side, as you see in this picture. Jackie and Lauren only use those crates when they are both away and there's no one at the house, which is very seldom. But they want to keep their dogs safe, and so 4 of their dogs are in crates and 1 dog is free to roam through the house. Theo was never off leash during those first few weeks. He wore a thunder shirt. Boomer wore a calming collar. They were never close to one another where they could make direct eye contact. Instead, they were positioned so they couldn't look at each other. Their backs were to one another. They were rewarded for every calm look that they were able to give to each other. Lots of praise for shake-offs. Every time that a dog shakes off, like they've been out in the rain, they are helping to relax themselves, and it is a great sign. Here is a picture of all 4 dogs sitting calmly outside of Theo's crate. And the next picture, Theo's no longer in the crate, and all 5 dogs are sitting happily to have their picture taken together. And finally, here is a clip of Boomer and Theo playing. This is the first time they played together, and you can see there's a little stiffness in the beginning. They're not sure. Play bow and then stand up stiff and then play bow. But finally, you can see that Boomer can get down on the ground and doesn't jump up as soon as Theo comes over to him. And then Theo's on the ground, Boomer's on the ground, and finally, here's the great part. They walk away on their own. Theo picks up a toy, Boomer does a shake-off, and Theo does a shake-off. So we know, even though they have to be watched, that they are well on their way to liking each other. Here's my question to you. How did you introduce your new dog to the dog that's already living in your house? Please leave it in the comments below. If you are bringing a new puppy into your home and you have another dog, here is a video that will give you lots of important information on how to introduce a puppy into your home when you have another dog. If you have a dog who's jumping up on everyone, here's a video to give you some tips on helping you to teach your dog not to jump up. Thank you. Please remember, subscribe to my channel and ring the bell, and you get all the episodes. Bye from Joyce at Diamond Dog Training. Bye-bye.